everybody, this is Von Holt for another The Division 2 video. So, um, we all know that Title Update 10 has just been released, and there has been a lot of changes with regards to gears, weapons, and exotics. So I looked into my favorite build right now, so that is the Negotiator's Dilemma, and I wondered what would happen if I paired it with the newly improved Chameleon. So for everyone who doesn't know, the Chameleon has been buffed so that all these buffs that we get, so hitting 30 headshots grants 20 critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage for 45 seconds, hitting 75 body shots grants 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds, and hitting 30 leg shots grants 150% reload speed for 45 seconds. And this is the best bit about that, is buffs refresh when out of combat. So once you've hit all of the buffs here, even if it's just one, so as long as you finish the combat, it will refresh to full duration before you enter another combat area. So let's say you were able to activate the headshots buff and the body shots buff, and yet you were able to maintain it up until the end of your current combat. When you enter the next combat, it will be the buffs refresh to the whole 45 seconds again. So that's a very great update to this weapon. So I have here the Chameleon. I have it with 13% assault rifle damage, 14% health damage, and 9.5% critical hit chance. And I was thinking of pairing it with the Negotiator's Dilemma gear set. So everyone knows what the Negotiator's Dilemma is, but for those of you who doesn't know, here are the gear set pieces. So with 2 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, you get 15% critical hit chance. With 3 pieces, 20% critical hit damage, and with 4 pieces we get the hostile negotiations. Now this has been buffed, I think, as well. So critical hits mark enemies for 20 seconds, up to 3 marks in total. So when you critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of that damage dealt. So it's basically hitting everyone with a mark at the same time, even if you're just shooting at one person. And then whenever a marked enemy dies, gains plus 2% critical hit damage, stacking up to 20 times or until the combat ends. So you can get up to 40% more critical hit damage when running this gear set. And then I'm pairing it with a 1-piece Providence Defense with 15% headshot damage. I'm thinking of trying to change this one too, but let's see. And a Grupo Sombra gear set as well. I mean a brand set with 15% critical hit damage. So let's get right into the build. So I'm using the gunner specialization just for the armor on kill, which is syncing very well with the Negotiator's Dilemma, because you get armor on all the marked enemies that get killed as well. So that's a good thing. And then as I was showing you a while ago, the Chameleon, pairing it up with MG5 LMG with fast hands, because this build has max critical hit chance. You utilizes the critical hits, adds a stack of 4% reload bonus, so you utilize that reload speed. Next up, the Negotiator's Dilemma's mask with 13.7% weapon damage and 12% critical hit damage, with a 11% critical hit damage mod. I'm using the Negotiator Dilemma's holster as well, with 14.5% weapon damage and 12% critical hit damage. I'm using also the Negotiator Dilemma's knee pads with 15% weapon damage and 10.7% critical hit damage, and I'm using the Negotiator's backpack, which is, I think, is one of the most important parts of using this gear set because of the talent critical measures. So I have this one with 15% weapon damage and 12% critical hit damage with a 5.7% critical hit chance. This all the equipment adds up to almost 60%. Critical hit measures increase the hostile negotiations damage to additional marked enemies from 60% to 100%. So you're basically hitting everyone with the same damage you are when you're hitting just one of the marked enemies. In addition to that, I have the Obliterate talent, which critical hits increases total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds and stacks up to 15 times. I chose this instead of Glass Cannon because I think this is a much safer talent, but if you're comfortable using Glass Cannon, by all means do so, because that gives you around 30% weapon damage. All damage. So I have this with 15% weapon damage, 6% critical hit chance, and 12% critical hit damage with an 11.5% critical hit damage mod. And lastly, the Grupo Sombra with 14.1% weapon damage, 11.3% critical hit damage, and a 6% critical hit chance. So if you see our stats, we have 90% weapon damage, 90,000 weapon damage, 60% critical hit chance, 173.1% critical hit damage, and that basically shreds around all the NPCs. So I think the Chameleon is a good weapon to use with the Negotiator's Dilemmas. If you have any comments, suggestions to how I can improve the build, you can comment down below. And I'll leave you with one of my heroic runs on DCD Invaded, just showcasing this build I have. So if you like the content, do like and subscribe on the page and on the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Fornalt out.
We think Black Tusk may be after the DCD's databases as a means to exploit the broad-spectrum antivirals they captured. We need to stop them.
Targeting the enemy.
System curtailed.
That was clean.
System reactivated. Serious trauma detected. Immediate medical assistance needed.
Firing airburst.
Serious trauma detected.
Another black eye for Black Tusk. It's a good thing they're cleared out of that compound.